Hello everyone. I will be talking in this module about the types of cost estimation from an introductory level, from a big picture level, before we move forward with much more details in the cost estimation process. So let's start. All estimates are approximations. This is something very important that you need to understand. The approximations are based upon judgment and experience. So as we always state, experience is very important in cost estimation. Even final reported cost figures on completed projects will differ in detail from what the true costs really were. With a little bit of luck, deviations in costs from different cost centers will cancel each other out. Now, estimator must build the project on paper, then assess the quantities, not only of the contracted materials, but also of the temporary materials, such as formwork and temporary plants being used for the project. Also, estimators need to hypothesize alternative construction methods and determine resources required by each method. Now, there are different types of estimates are required as the following: conceptual and preliminary estimate and detailed estimate. From the conceptual and preliminary estimates, it happens prior to the engineering design completion. The conceptual estimate is useful in the schematic and the budgetary phase when design details are not available. The preliminary estimate, on the other hand, takes place when the preliminary design is available, which is around 40% of the total design. Then once the preliminary design is approved by the owner, the final or the detailed design is then accomplished. Detailed estimate is also prepared from completed plans and completed specifications, and we will talk about it later in details. Now, there are types of methods or tools being used in the conceptual and the preliminary estimates. And basically, in these estimates, it tells us whether a project is anywhere near to being economically feasible, and this varies considerably from one type of construction project to another type. Examples of tools and methods, as I said, to perform conceptual and preliminary estimation are those four. There is a lot, and you can find from a practical point of view as well as from a theoretical point of view. But as you know, from our specialization, we try to, as much as possible, covering both to show you what's already in books, as well as to cover speakers and people from the industry what exactly the practical field has been doing. So let's touch base on these four examples from cost indices, cost capacity factors, and I will talk through examples about the top two, and the component ratios parameter costs. I'm gonna go through them very quickly and just an introductory level. Cost indices. Cost indices is a price of a total constant package of resources, construction resources, that serves as input to a typical construction project. The index is computed by dividing this cost, the cost of the index, by the cost of the resources in a base reference period. This will allow us to show changes of cost over time. So we have the cost of the package in one time and the cost of the package in another time. The cost index and the cost index here. So again, what I was saying is, looking at two different periods of time, it will show us how the costs change over time. Such changes are affected by technology, construction methods and techniques, new ones, for example, productivity, as well as inflation. Now, cost indices are published periodically, and it's been repriced in every period. Here in the US, it's been published by the Engineering and Use Records, for example, ENR, and other publications. For example, we have the ENR Building Cost Index, or BCI, which is computed as following. We have, as I said, like a constant package, and the constant package here are 4 components, starting from a lumber, structural steel, cement, and labor. If we notice in this index, we do have a specific constant quantity on each of these 4 components. Like the lumber, we have a specific 1,088 board feet of lumber, and specific 2 by 4, and the prices we have here are for a 20 city average. Structural steel, the same thing. We have a specific constant amount, and the cement and the labor, we have a specific number of hours for skilled laborers, and they take it for 20 city average we have in the US, and then we sum it up, and that will be your building cost index. There are other cost indices that exist and can be used in a similar way. So we have here the building cost index, the BCI, and we also, from ENR, we also have another example, which is we call it construction cost index, or CCI, not BCI. And the change between both of them, as I recall, is in the labor component. So that's the main difference between both. Cost indices can yield accuracy within, let's say, plus minus 25 to 30% of the actual costs. Also, it can provide estimates information with almost negligible time and effort. And it is valuable for planning decisions very early in the life of a project. So let's take an example here.